Hey, you geeks! This week's show was recorded at Dragonsteel 2022 in Salt Lake City.
Salt Lake City, not just a story.
I had a real event where I got to meet so many of you wonderful viewers, and we got to discuss our favorite Cosmere theories and had a great time. Hi.
Hi.
Jackie, what's your name?
Bart.
Bart. Awesome. And do you have any theories about Wax and Wayne 4?
Ooh. Not particularly for Wax and Wayne 4. This one I'm just hoping for a solid, fun adventure. I love Bands of Mourning. I've grown to love Shadows of Self. And I love what Law was really fun. So I'm just really looking forward to having a good time.
Okay. And is this your first time at Dragonsteel?
This is not my first time. I was here last year.
You have experience. So what was it like last year?
Last year it was, I would say it was cozy. It was a good first outing for Team Dragonsteel. It was a really fun time to see Sanderson fans in person and see how large the fandom is and how much it could grow. So I really, really enjoyed it.
Nice. And did you read Cytonic? That was a Cytonic release.
I did.
And did you do you like that series too?
I think Skyward, the first book, is honestly one of Sanderson's best works, up there with the Mistborn trilogy and Stormlight. Starsight is hit or miss depending on what you expected out of Skyward, but of course the Skyward Fight novellas helped with that. And Cytonic was an interesting adventure. I like it. I can't say I love it just yet, but I'm sure I will appreciate it more on rereads.
Do you think that Sanderson has a problem, not necessarily a problem, but he doesn't like keeping like the band together?
Ooh. I would say that maybe isn't a problem, but maybe it's a side effect of his influence from the Wheel of Time. Whereas if, no spoilers for the Wheel of Time, but if you've ever read the Wheel of Time, then you know for the first few books, there's this kind of, the band comes together, then they split up and go their different ways and then come back together. As the series progresses, that happens less and less to the point where they're all doing their own different things. I just think as Sanderson is a fan of the Wheel of Time, and as he's grown up with that and has written for it, that just kind of bleeds into his works.
So you guys know how, like, in especially Mistborn Era 1, where I was coming from, like, basically Harry Potter, pretty much into Mistborn Era 1, was very shocked that in Book 2, like, half the group dies and the other half, like, face struggles, a lot of struggles. So, and then now where we are with Stormlight, where like everyone's spread out, and same with Skyward, that he builds up this tight group of wonderful characters, and then like you never see them after the first book until the novellas. It's great. So hi, I'm Jackie.
I'm Esper.
Hi, Esper. So you have a theory about Rhythm of
Yes,
War?
well, yeah.
Or from Rhythm of War?
From Rhythm of War to Stormlight 5.
Okay.
So we know that there's 10 days, like there's the 10 days before the champion, right? And so this has been posted to before, but the theory that the Odium will select Gavinor as his champion. Yeah.
Okay, we have a few in the back. Okay. And
I think it's interesting because then it's like, you know, Dalinar would have to, I don't know, it might be like a little cop out because it's like he would never fight them, and then, but it's interesting, and I just, it's hard to imagine like who else Odium's champion could be.
see, I think it'd be Ishar.
Okay.
Because
I haven't heard that one before.
Ishar is really the only one who could fight Dalinar they have, like, with the Kaladin Zeth fight at the end of Book 2, they had similar powers, and they gave us a great show.
Bondsmith versus Bondsmith.
Bondsmith v. Bondsmith, unchained bondsmiths against each other. One's insane, one isn't. And, like, with that, so with Kaladin we've all read the end of book 4? Okay. With Kaladin, they talked about shard time dilation. Like, you bring a lot of investiture into a place, and it slows down time because it acts the same as, like, mass and space. And so I kind of, off of Ishar fighting Dalinar on top of Urithiru, I almost think we're going to get, like, for some characters, like, that is the time skip of 15 years where they're going to bring so much investiture into that spot that, like, Urithiru is going to get, like, we'll have, like, 10 minutes happen, and then everywhere else it'll be, like, 15 years go by. And because everything is for shipping here, at least for me, I will do astrophysics for the purpose of that way Lift and Kaladin will be at comparable ages, and it won't be weird for them to have a relationship in the back half. That is the ultimate goal here. So, yeah, but yeah, did you come to yours because of, like, the suckling child?
Yes,
one?
Yes, exactly. There's that one line from, it's one of the death rattles. Yeah, and I think there was a couple other pieces of evidence, but I can't remember them exactly. But I remember reading the theory. I read it online, and I liked it, so I kind of adopted.
Yeah, it's a really popular one, and I do think that it's the sort of moral quandary that Sanderson likes to write in. He's with Taravangian and Dalinar's conversations being very philosophical. It's very appropriate that they would have a time where he would be like, oh, I can actually put you in this impossible situation and see what you do.
I hadn't heard the Ishar one, though. I really like that one.
Yeah, that's just, like, what I thought while reading the book, because
I think it makes a lot of sense.
We have, like, him fighting.
They already kind of, like, had their pre-conflict, you know? Like, they saw each other, and they, like...
Yeah, and him fighting the Bridge 4 guys, and he just wipes the floor with them. And I think it would be interesting that Szeth and Kaladin are going to get Ishar as a teacher, but he is, when he's saying he's the teacher, when he's insane, he's the champion.
Right.
That is fun. Who do you think Trell is? Do you have a Trell thought?
Good question. So we know Era 2 takes place in between Stormlight, like the first half of Stormlight and the second half, right? So, I mean, I don't think... So I guess in theory it could be Odium, because, like, we don't know what's going to happen at the end of book 5. Like, he could be released, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think... Do you think Trell is somebody that we've seen before? Or, like, do you think it's somebody that we could name? Or do you think it's, like, a new entity? I think it's kind of like... I think it's a new entity.
I think we've seen him.
You think we've seen him?
Okay. I think it's one of the shards, and I don't know if we've seen this shard, or it depends on, I guess. Do you want to come up here and say where you think we've seen them? Like, hi, I'm Jackie.
Folks, I'm Eddie.
Yeah. And so you think Trell is someone we've seen before?
I think Trell is an aspect of something we've seen before.
Oh, which shard? Autonomy, yes, that one.
Right, we've seen, and 100% it is just because I know I got to a particular panel in White Sand, and Trell was the name given by the worker who helped.
I remember that.
You see the faces in the panels?
Yeah.
And we know that Autonomy is the shard from White Sand. And we also know that at least one shard, and I think it was Autonomy, has created avatars. And those avatars are on other worlds, such as Pachi, thank you, from Six of the Dust. And so I think Trell is the god, is the representation for Autonomy, and is the one that is responsible for trying to circumvent the system over there, potentially because I believe Autonomy is one of the shards that thinks that all of the shards should remain apart, doesn't like the fact
that harmony
ruin
is
and
converged.
preservation have converged.
Yep.
So I think Trell is just an aspect of autonomy going there to try and sow chaos to break that apart.
That makes a lot of sense and follows up because Trell, at least is named, is like, oh, he was a great guy over in White Sand. He helped the builders, but now he's very well. His color is red, and as Sando has said, that red is a sign of corrupted investiture. So, do you think that the Trell avatar is a corrupted avatar of autonomy, or is it just autonomy being very autonomy?
I think that in this case, it is autonomy projecting a corrupting influence on what's already there. Because unless there's something specific about corrupted, like a specific intent for what corrupted is supposed to mean, then, corrupted is a subjective term because obviously, we know that Ja'anat corrupts Spren, but she prefers to call them enlightened because, she wakes up their full potential and gives them the ability to do more on their own. From her perspective, it's not corrupting, but it is still red. And so it could just be corrupting from original intent. And so, at least in my mind, if, I'm just spitballing ideas as far as for why it would still be red without necessarily being bad.
And I think because Sanda takes a lot from like the Aristotelian idea of the ideal world, like there is the ideal chair and that exists in a plane, and everything else we have in the world is a derivative of that chair. So, like this is closer to the ideal chair because most chairs have 4 legs. So the chairs we're sitting on has 4 legs, so they're very close to the ideal. But chairs also have like, let's say the ideal chair has armrests. And so this lack of an armrest in Aristotelian terms would be a corruption of a chair. And so taking that into the Cosmere world, we see that with in the cognitive realm with the idea spheres of where things have the idea of what they are, what they think themselves to be, is Sanderson giving us what the ideal is, the original intent, but then they can change. And if they change, I think, too much from the intent behind their creation, then that's what becomes, especially if they're investiture, then that's what I think corruption is. So yeah, that's why philosophy classes are actually worth taking, so you can understand the Cosmere, or have an understanding of the Cosmere. You're wearing a Life Before Death. Do you prefer Stormlight or Mistborn?
I mean, that's, which child do you like the most kind of thing. I mean, the answer is I don't know that I have found a Sanderson anything that I don't like.
Okay.
I do believe that Stormlight, as it is currently written, is perhaps the best contemporary fantasy that is being written right now, and it is very deep and full of meaning for a lot of people. I really like what Mistborn does for subverting tropes and playing with different. I mean, we've already seen the 2 eras, and we know that the other eras are going to be different as well, and being able to play around with that. But I can't say that there's anything, I think a lot of people sleep on Alcatraz. I love Alcatraz.
Thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe if you would like to see more. Your patronage is greatly appreciated.